Hello guys, today we are going to be doing a guide for all of you people in Elo Hell stuck in bronze. It's hard, I know, everything in bronze is hard. I was in bronze for quite a while, but here we're going to have a few tips that can get you out of there real fast. So, we're going to cover three topics. First is going to be hero selection, second is going to be gameplay, and third is going to be grouping. Now for hero selection, I've created a chart right here, a tier list if you will, that shows what the best heroes in my opinion are. And if you look at the top tier, it's Reaper, Moira, Hog, Mei, Soldier, and Ball. Soldier after the recent buffs. And the reason heroes is because these heroes are ones that are incredibly difficult to deal with, and they have really high impact. Like Reaper with his lifesteal, he can 1v1 basically anyone in bronze. There's no one that can stop him. And with Moira, with her lock on and her like extreme self heal, she can like kill any DPS. And Hog with his hook is it's so hard to deal with, and especially since he has his self heal, it makes it so much harder. With Mei, she can like freeze people up, and her ice wall will separate people. So if you get good at that, that really works well. And also, she has her self heal, so it's much harder to kill her. With Soldier, it just now that spread, he does so much damage. He does an absurd amount of damage. He has a self heal, and it's easy to pocket at him because he's always at a distance. With Ball, it's just really easy because when you're in Ball from a head hitbox, and you can basically do whatever you want, and the enemy has to really focus you down to kill you, especially in bronze. It's much harder, and you can distract like three of their team, and you just make them go away from the fight while your team rolls them. Now for my A tier, I did Pharah, Bastion, Brig, Rein, Zarya, Torb. The reason why these aren't in S tier is because they take more coordination. The reason why I chose Pharah is because Pharah takes a bit of coordination to like do, right? But the thing is that because she's in the air and not too many people are really good at hit scan in bronze, you can really do a lot of damage. And with Soldier's recent buffs, she gets worse, but I still think that if they're not running Soldier, you can easily just output you can like put out so much damage and you get your ult so fast. The reason why I put Bastion in A tier 2 is because if the enemy doesn't have good coordination, it's gonna be really easy to just like chunk down some damage on their on them. Like with Bastion, you can melt their tanks instantly. If they're not coordinating well to like jump on you, you can easily just destroy them. With Brig, it's it's a matter of her stun. Her stun is so hard to deal with, and especially with her self heal and her kind of OP ult. Even though it's not good at most other tiers, really good in bronze. Like in bronze, her ult can just win you an entire team fight with no other ults because you're getting 100 more health. Sure, it's over time, but it still works really well. Then we were going on Rein. Rein, I think it's pretty simple because look, Rein has insane barrier. His charge can insta kill basically anyone, and his fire strike does a ton of it does 100 damage and it can hit multiple targets. So doing that into like a grav or a halt or whatever can just like almost wipe a team. Then yeah, and then his Earth Shatter is really good. Then you have Zarya, who has her bubbles, which are really annoying, especially if you bubble someone who's getting dove. And then you have Torb, who has this annoying little turret. That's just basically that. Then you have Orisa, who has her halt, and Sigma has his rock. And Sigma also has projected barrier halts, just good because it can like move people together. So if you have like a Reaper, Pharah, etc., you can just like destroy them. Or if you have a Hog, you can hook them even. Except it takes a bit more coordination to work with halt. Then with Rock, it's like a stun. It's like a pretty good stun. It's a long range stun, and it can stun you for a reasonable amount of time. Then with Junk, it's all about shield break. Junk shield break is like insane. But the thing is that the rest of his kit is not as good. His Riptire is pretty good because in bronze it can get like 4, 5, 6 kills. But the thing is that like he's not very good at like 1v1ing or stuff like that. He mostly loses those. Then with Doom, it's kind of the opposite even. He's really good at 1v1ing, but his shield break is really low. And besides his punch, the rest of his kit is really hard to use. Like, you really have to know how to chain things together. And then you've Mercy. Mercy can pocket someone. That's basically why she's on this list in B tier. Then you've Ana, who has her nade, which is really powerful, and her sleep, which is also really powerful, but her healing, it takes more skill and more coordination to, like, use that. Then you can have Then you have Creed, who Flashbang Fan the Hammer, simple as that, bread and butter. Then you have Lucio, who, if you go back and forth between speed boost and health boost constantly, it'll get so much value. It gets an absurd amount of value. Then you have like Baptiste, and he has his immortality field and stuff like that, right? And he also has this extreme self healing, does a lot of healing, but like I don't know, he's just kind of he's a more coordinated based thing. Like if you're not speaking mics all the time, it's just much harder. Like you might just play Anna then or Moira or something like that. Moira's the faster charging ult. So then you can also have then you also have so then we're going to C tier, and C tier is like these heroes that you really shouldn't play, but if it really comes down to it, you can in very specific scenarios. So you've Ashe and Widow. And the reason why I don't recommend playing Ashe or Widow is because if you're not getting headshots, you're not getting value. So if you can't hit your headshots, you're not going to get any value whatsoever. And that's just why, like, so you really have to use you have to get a lot of skill with hitting headshots. That's basically what I'm saying. And then with Echo, Tracer, Genji, and D.Va, it all takes a lot of team coordination and like really high skill heroes, right? With D.Va, it's less high skill, but her Matrix is really about like team coordination. Then in the D tier, just don't play these heroes ever. If you want to win, don't play them. You have Zen, who just is all about team coordination with Zen, right? You if you like get your Discord on somebody, and then then you can kill them pretty fast, right? But the thing is, if your team doesn't focus them down, then he's pretty much useless. Then you Symmetra, who it's just her. The only thing she has is her turret. If you use Symmetra out of spawn to like teleport fast to the point, that's respectable. But like I don't know, overall in team fights, she just doesn't do as much damage. Then you've Winston, who in bronze, I don't know, he just doesn't have the same solo impact. Sure, he can has like a visual lock on and stuff like that, where he can keep track of Genji and stuff like that. But the thing is that he can't do a lot of damage actually. So it's usually about coordinating with Winston, where you dive into the Genji or Tracer, at least in higher tiers, to get that to work. And when the first place where you really see that happening is like mid gold, where you see that. So don't do that. Don't do Winston bronze. Then you Sombra, I don't know. It just the main thing she has is her hack, right? And her hack takes a lot of team coordination. But her EMP is good. And then you've Hanzo just like Widow, but with a projectile, and he does more shield break. But of course, shield break. If you want shield break, just play Junkrat or Reaper or something like that. And yeah, I think that's gonna sum up for my tier list. Basically, if you choose any heroes in S tier, you'll probably rank up pretty fast. Now, in terms of gameplay, the main thing you want to do is play as aggro as you possibly can. If you're a tanker DPS, you aggro as much as you possibly can, especially if you're playing like Reaper and Ryan stuff. I'll play Ryan. Whenever I play Ryan, I go like I'm full swinging. My healers are pocketing me, and I get 12 Earth Shatters a game. That's something that on average, I get 12 Earth Shatters a game. It's pretty insane. So then, yeah, so that's basically if you aggro with tanks all the time. With Zarya too, you just aggro when you go in with your bubbles and you aggro. That'll work so well. And with Hog, once again, you aggro. Everything you aggro as much as you possibly can because they're not good at punishing. Bronze people are not good at punishing. You can aggro like really, really well. And that's just gonna win you like team fight after team fight. Especially if you're a hero that's good at like 1v1ing and stuff like that. Then you also have heroes who also have heroes that aren't really great at 1v1ing, but one thing that they are good at is kind of like setting up plays like Orisa and stuff like that. So if you play Orisa and you play with your team, like you want to go aggro still, right? Of course, you aggro them up. You walk into them with your barrier, and then you halt them, and your team should play together, and you're all shooting into the halt as fast as you possibly can. That'll do so much damage, and that can win you a single team fight because you can get so many picks off of just a really good halt. So if you're Orisa, yeah, just definitely always just go for that, just go in for that, like, go in and then get the halt. It's gonna be so powerful. And then with supports, basically the way you want to play is you want to be pushing up with your tanks and pocketing your tanks, because your DPS they'll use health packs, and especially most of them can self heal. Like most of them can self heal. I'd say that Reaper can self heal. If you're getting like a Reaper May soldier, they can all self heal. So if you're playing Mercy, pocket like your soldier or whatever like hit scan you have or something like that. But if you don't have a hit scan and you're playing Mercy, pocket your main tank. And if you don't have a Mercy, just always pocket your tanks. That's I already said this. I was getting like 10 Earth Shatters a game just because of the fact that I could just walk straight into the enemy team, fire strike, swing around. Sure, I'm feeding to them, but I'm getting so much ult charge. I would get Earth Shatters every 30 seconds. It was that insane. I would get 2 per fight, and I just won every single team fight because every single team fight every single time they would be knocked down twice. And we would just kill them all because the first time we wouldn't all be in position to do it. The second time they're all choking up, and like I'm just swinging through them right, and I get another Earth Shatter. That's simple as that. If you pocket your tanks, it's gonna work so well. With Hog, same thing. You let him go aggro, and you let him just be able to like, get positions to hook people. He will, if he can one shot people, that will win you a team fight instantly. It's that OP if you by just pocketing your tanks. And that's basically how you want to play with any healer, except with Moira. With Moira, you definitely want to be staying with your tanks in line and pocketing them. But one thing you also want to do is aggroing on any like mobile heroes. Like let's say you have like a Lucio or something like that, and you aggro them. You can get so much value by just aggroing like a Lucio or something like that, because you you do more damage than his self heal. You just do more damage, and you're getting a self heal yourself, and it's basically a lock on. You can just do so much, especially with their damage orb, throwing that all into like a mobile target, like Genji, especially with Genji, you can mow down Genji. Yeah, it's like you can get so much value with that. And then with your DPS, I'd say the main way you want to play with your DPS is kind of taking off angles and kind of like a lot of the time, if you're able to get to their if you just flank like and get to their supports, you can get so much value. Like that's just the most valuable thing you can do. Because the thing is, their supports they won't have good enough like mechanical skills to block your incoming like assault, right? If you make sure to like if you can even take a line that you can still do a lot of actions per minute by shooting at like their shield and barrier and whatnot, and still get to their like supports because they're not good at countering you getting to their supports. It will work if you just like if you're Reaper and you just walk through like them to their supports. It will work 100% of the time, especially with Reaper. If you walk straight into their front line and just like mow down their tanks, that's another thing that can work. But one thing that you don't want to do as DPS is go for the enemy DPS. Because sure, you can get a kill with that, maybe it's easier, but what's that actually providing? Like, what do they provide? You're taking pressure off of your team. That's something that you definitely do want to do, but it's not as valuable as putting pressure on their team. That will win you a team fight if you're a DPS. Now into the third section, which is grouping. Look, you know the grouping tab that no one uses? That one? Look, go into there, find a six stack, and play in it. It will, I promise you, you will win every single game if your team can coordinate like that. It is the best possible strategy that you can do, especially if they're all good and they're all like fun and they're not toxic. It's gonna be insane because one of the things that will happen a lot of the time in bronze is you'll have like Smurfs or something like you'll have like a lot of Smurfs. You'll have like throwers or stuff like that. If you can have a team of no throwers, no Smurfs, that will get you like the best output ever. Because the thing is, it'll actually match you up against other teams with 6 stacks too, and no 6 stacks have like Smurfs in them. That just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you like it wouldn't make any sense to group because you're trying to win. You could win without enemies, right? And so yeah, if you group with that, you don't even have to group with that. You can group in like a solo or a duo or something like, or not a solo, but if you group in a duo, or duo is much harder. But if you group in like a trio or like if you group in like a quad group, that's really powerful. Like quad is definitely the point where it starts to be like you can win every single game. Like 6 stack, you will win. I win every single game. I 6 stack every single game. I have like a nice 6 stack. I win. And so that's where if you just find like a friend, if you're in game and you just see this one guy who's really good and you friend them and they work out and you guys can play together on a regular basis, that works so well. Like I do that, and I just win like almost all my games. That's why I'm climbing to platinum so quick. That's why also it's much easier to get the diamond if your team's able to coordinate like that, like with like a duo or like a quad or something like that. And so yeah, so just to sum this all up, basically, if you play annoying heroes like Reaper, or, like if you play like really powerful heroes that with like a lot of damage that can do solo things, like Reaper and whatnot, and Pharah and stuff like that, you'll get the most value you possibly can. Also, make sure to be playing with like in like a very aggro style while pocketing your tanks if you're a support, right? You can always just like as a support, if you just pocket your tanks, like it's not even that hard. You can just pocket your tanks and you'll get a lot of value. And if you're a DPS, once again, go for their supports. And if you're or go for their tanks if you're like Reaper. And if you're a tank, just aggro on them and get ults fast. And then with grouping, just make sure if you find someone good in your game that is friendly and stuff, friend them and just play with them for like 10 games, and then you'll win all of them. That'll get you a lot of SR. And with all those tips, I think that you will be able to get out of bronze really, really fast.